So you've mastered shading and you're ready to blend. Today I'm going to share the technique that I've used in my classroom that has produced amazing results from students grades 6 through 8. This technique is specifically designed for Crayola colored pencils. If you have a more expensive pencil, this is still a good starting point, but because of the rich pigment in soft core pencils that are more expensive, you need to go back and layer. I'm going to show you a really easy way to get that layered, more expensive look from your Crayola pencils. We're going to start with just 2 colors. In future lessons, we'll build on with 3, 4, even 5 and more colors. But for now, we're just starting with 2, getting used to blending and making good color choices. Before we get started, I'm going to go over a few key terms that are going to help you choose colors to blend with when using colored pencils. The first term is monochromatic. The word monochromatic literally translates into one color. In art, when we talk about monochromatic, we're talking about all the variations, darks and lights, that one color can create. Let's look at blue-green. If I wanted to use blue-green to blend, I would take a look at all the light blue-greens and all the dark blue-greens. Then I would choose a dark and a light to blend with. That brings me to my next term, which is contrast. When talking about color, colors that have a strong contrast have a big difference between light and dark. If I choose a light blue-green and a dark blue-green that don't have enough contrast, I'm not going to see any difference when I blend. So instead, I'm going to choose a lighter blue-green and a darker blue-green that have a stronger contrast, and I'll have way better results. I'm going to start with blue as an example because in the 50 pack, Crayola gives us a nice range of blues. Now that I've pulled navy blue from the other side of my case, you can see all of the blues that Crayola puts in their 50 pack. Of all of the blues, navy blue is the darkest, so I'm going to start there. My goal is to find a lighter blue that has a good amount of contrast and will blend nicely with this navy blue. If the colors have too much contrast, it'll be very hard to blend where the colors meet. I have a few options, but this color here looks pretty light and like it will have a good amount of contrast and will blend. When I look at the color, it's called sky blue, so I'm going to start with navy blue and sky blue. I recommend that you test both colors full pressure to make sure they color the way that you expect them to. I would even write down the color names until you really get to know your colors. The very last step before I start blending is to decide which of my 2 pencils is darker. The navy blue is definitely darker than sky blue, so I'm going to set aside sky blue and start with navy. So you're going to take that darker color, in this case navy blue, and shade. Everything you learned from shading, dark to light, pressing heavy, coloring in ellipses, and getting lighter and lighter as you move away from your dark value. The only difference is that you're going to leave a nice white space for your second color to show through. So as I move up, I'm getting lighter and lighter, I'm coloring in ellipses, I'm going over the same spot in different directions, I'm overlapping. But instead of getting lighter and lighter to the end, I'm getting lighter and lighter and fading into white. You need to make sure, I can't stress this enough, you need to make sure that your color looks like it's fading away into the white. You also need to make sure that you've colored as heavy as you can and you have a really dark space in your dark value. Once you've shaded with the darker color, dark to light, fading to nothing, you're ready to start with your lighter color. So I'm going to take my sky blue and I'm just applying full pressure to the entire shape. Later on, we could fade lighter and lighter for a natural highlight, a 3rd color, 4th color, 5th color, but right now just stick to this nice, simple step of full pressure over the entire area to perfect the skill of blending and color choice. I'm going to continue to use monochromatic color to make my color choices. I'll list all the colors I'm using, but keep in mind throughout this whole video that part of the fun is experimenting and finding your own color combinations, so be sure to do just that and have fun finding colors on your own. Now I'm going to make some color choices based on analogous colors. Analogous colors are 3 colors that sit next to one another on the color wheel. Right now we're only blending with 2 colors, so for each 3 analogous colors we're going to choose 2 to blend with. When using analogous colors to make color choices, you're going to find it's not a perfect system. Sometimes there's not enough contrast between 2 colors, sometimes there's too much, sometimes you need to skip over a color. I'm going to go over many of these scenarios so that if you find yourself running into them, you know how to make these colors work. At the center of this radial design, there seems to be a flower, and I've colored half of each petal. I'm going to stick to the same general color for each petal, but choose analogous colors instead of monochromatic. I'm going to start with my orange petal, so I'm going to use the colors orange, and yellow to make a color choice. The colors I choose need to have the right amount of contrast. Too much contrast, and the colors will look streaky where they meet. Not enough contrast, and you won't see the difference between the two when I blend. I'm going to go with the colors yellow, orange, and yellow. Remember, we always want to start with the darker color, which yellow-orange seems to definitely be. So I'm starting with the yellow-orange, coloring lighter and lighter, fading to nothing, and then filling in with the lighter color, which is yellow. Next, I'm going to use yellow, green, and yellow, which are right next to each other on the color wheel. You can try skipping over the middle color of your analogous color combination and using the first and last. For this example, I'm going to try blending blue and green without any blue-green. But blue and green with the Crayola pencils don't have much contrast, so I can either choose a dark blue and a light green, or a dark green and a light blue. I'm going to go with a dark blue and a light green, and try them out before I get started, because blue and light green had a little bit too much contrast, so I'm going with cerulean, which is still dark, but much brighter, and lime green. So a general rule to follow is that if you have two analogous colors that don't have enough contrast, just make one darker and one lighter. Now that you have a general understanding of how to blend analogous colors, I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball at you. Have you ever actually had paint that was the primary colors and tried to mix purple using blue and red and gotten this brown icky color? Well, that's because this is color theory, and red and blue in theory make purple, but in reality don't mix the bright colors we really want them to, which is why our printers use magenta and cyan ink. So magenta can actually replace red on the color wheel, and cyan can replace blue on the color wheel. Cyan is a really deep, bright blue, and magenta is a deep, bright red that you might even think of as pink. So the same thing goes for Crayola colored pencils. The blue and the red don't really make an ideal purple. In the 50 pack, if you want to replace blue and red, you can use a color called cerulean, which is very close to cyan, and then the color magenta. So if you want to blend violet and red, and please remember violet and purple are the same color, then you will get a result that works, but you might prefer violet and magenta, which I'm going to choose for my next petal. I'm going to continue filling in the petals with the analogous colors, and then I'll move to the spaces on the outside and alternate from analogous to monochromatic, then back to analogous and monochromatic again. As I was doing the voiceover, my 3-year-old daughter started to mimic me and talk over me, and we started to create a little dialogue telling you the colors I was using, and it was so cute I kept it, so hope you enjoy. You can imagine that when you want to make purple, it doesn't mix very nicely with red. So instead, you can replace it with magenta. And you can do, yeah, you helping? Why don't you tell them what to do? Tell them what colors I'm using.
Orange.
Good. Red and orange. Now what a color?
Red.
Close. Red, orange, and mango. There's red, orange again, with salmon this time.
Ooh, salmon.
What color's that?
Pink.
Close, magenta. Sometimes we confuse it with pink. What color's that?
Pink.
Magenta.
Pink.
That was pink. What color's that?
Black.
That's dark blue.
Purple.
With orchid. What color's that?
Blue.
Two blues. Now it's green, blue, and lime.
Green.
Whose favorite color is green?
Me.
Yeah. That one was one of Mommy's favorite. Green, blue, and aqua green. That's lemon and lime.
Yeah.
What color is that?
Yellow.
Good. Well done. I hope you enjoyed learning how to blend with two colors and you're inspired to try it on your own. Please remember, this is just a guide to choosing colors and in no way a set of rules. It's a jump-off point to finding your own way. I truly hope you have fun experimenting and finding what colors you love to use and what colors you don't love to use. In the next lesson, I'm going to show you how to blend 3 colors, which you can see in the outer ring of the radial design, how to use black and brown to blend with, and what to do with that gold and silver pencil. Thank you so much for watching. I've really loved all the feedback that I've gotten. Please feel free to comment, and I will be happy to answer any questions you have. Happy creating!